Joining us is Lucia Annunzio, the President and CEO of the Center for High Performance. Lucia, always fun to have you here.
Nice to have it. Thank you for having me back.
Thank you, especially ahead of earnings, because we're going to hear from all these big leaders, and we're going to talk about some of the big trends that they've been behind. Stephanie Lewicki is also joining us, Senior Manager of Futures and Forex. Kevin Hanks is the co-host of Fast Market. And I want to start, guys, by talking about good old Jamie Dimon, Lucia, because earnings next week, the financials start to report, and he has not been short of being vocal about pretty much whatever he wants around these earnings.
Yes.
What do you think?
Well, I think things look good for him. People continue to underestimate him, and he keeps exceeding expectations. I mean, what comes out of Jamie Dimon's mouth is what he thinks and feels, and that's what I admire about him. He tells the truth. He's the CEO that people love to hate. You know, they want to hate him. They want to find something wrong with him. But at the end of the day, he makes good decisions. He treats his people well. He's built a culture of trust. He has 50% women on his senior team, which is something I admire. And he's really into diversity, and because of the right reasons, because it's the right thing to do, and because it drives innovation. And
within his space as well, many would say the financials and the big banks were kind of laggards in that space that needed to catch up.
Exactly.
Now, how will he sort of balance what seems to be his, I don't know if I want to call them aspirations because I don't want to project, but he seems to have some bank-centric interests, right?
Yes.
Politics.
Yes.
He's been wading into that. Like every report, he gets more and more into this realm outside of his own company.
Yes. Well, I think he's a value-driven human being, and I think he wants to do more with the world. When he was in Chicago, he came to Chicago to speak at the Economic Club, and he talked about what people should be worried about is not whether we increase taxes, but all those young people that are in high school who don't have an education and aren't going to get a job, and what is corporations' responsibility. So yes, he definitely seems to have aspirations. Whether they're political or not, I can't say. Whether he's smart enough or dumb enough to get into that scene, I don't know.
Yeah, I like that. Smart enough or dumb enough. We won't know until it happens, right? I mean, Kev, as an investor.
I have a unique perspective on Jamie Dimon because I was the specialist in Bank One, which was where he was CEO before JP Morgan. Okay. And he came down and spent the day with me on the floor of the CBOE.
That's cool.
So we got to interact and go back and forth, and I can tell you right now, he is the real deal, and he is surrounded by the Kevlar of knowing the answers and being one of the smartest guys in the room. Yeah. And he projects that when he talks. He believes in giving you information, but not too much. He doesn't evangelize on everything that he's doing, but he believes in giving you information. And I think he's willing to take the blame if something goes wrong. He's willing to take the credit if something goes right. He owns every decision he makes, good or bad.
Yeah. And whether or not he makes them.
Right.
Don't forget, he owned the whale.
Yes.
He took full responsibility for that. He apologized, and he admitted they were wrong. He has no trouble. What I like about him is he is the smartest guy in the room, but he listens to everyone else. I mean, the famous JP Morgan story is when JP Morgan didn't make money off credit default swaps. Yeah. And he went to London to ask him why, and they told him because there's 3 levels of risk, they couldn't mitigate the third, and he listened. I mean, how many banks didn't listen, and why is JP Morgan JP Morgan?
Yeah. The earnings that are coming up, he likes to talk about their fortress balance sheet. He's talked about how while a lot of other banks have experienced a lot of volatility, there's been pretty consistent. But the bottom line is when the numbers come out, are they driving growth? I mean, that's the big question that's going to be.
It will be the big question for JP Morgan as well as the other banks. But I have to agree with Lucia and Kevin on saying he is just such an influential figure. I almost compare him to Ken Griffin from Citadel. I've heard him speak many times, and I just love to hear him speak. I think he's such an intellectual guy. Maybe I don't all the time agree with him, and I feel that same way about listening to Jamie Dimon speak, and that he's truthful and he's passionate and he's really telling you what he feels. And he, the way he, came out first with the the digital coin, and maybe there's
Right.
going to be a Jamie Dimon coin, and then he's willing to open up and say he might do things like that. They're looking at mobile banking now, realizing the shift into mobile banking, and J.P. Morgan actually, the U.S. World Bank Index, they've actually outperformed it year to date, up 15% compared to the other banks. So just solid core all around, and I think he's one of those people that I think really in the whole, like we said, he really is an influencer that when he talks, everybody wants to listen. Everybody will listen to the conference call on that.
Oh yeah, that's the big one,
Yeah.
and the big note with it. We do have limited time though, so I want to keep going. Lucia, let's talk Ginny Rometty, because after the big red hat move, I mean, this is her time to shine, right?
She's good. She bet the farm. And I think she's going to win. But why could I not like her? She's from Chicago. She went to Northwestern, and she's Italian. Okay, so how could I not like her? I think she's fabulous. I think that she started, in Detroit, and worked her way up to CEO of one of the major companies in the world. She had 22 quarters of losses, but nonetheless kept making smart bets. IBM has always been the after it's successful, let's do it.
Right.
And they've done it well. And why won't they do it this time? I'm betting on her.
Data technology, basically looking into the future and trying to play catch up has been sort of their story with the AI and more. Now when they have this big deal under their wings, I mean, this is the type of thing though, for $34 billion, it can make or break.
It's going to make or break her. She bet the farm.
Yeah.
And if they do what they say, now it sounds good on paper, if they let Red Hat be neutral, if they keep their culture so that they can do open source, and they don't make Whitehurst the CEO of IBM, I think it can work. If they try to combine the cultures. But they've had experience. They've collaborated on Linux. They've worked together before. They know the risks of turning red blue.
Yep.
I mean, it's clear that would be the end of the deal.
Chapter
and they know
2
it.
of the cloud is what she calls it.
Yeah.
Because my view is we'll look back on this. Steph, I'll give you the thought real quick. We'll look back on this and we'll either go, that was a brilliant deal, or that was basically the top.
You're absolutely right. Like Lucia said, she bet the farm on it. IBM has been struggling over the last 5 years. It's down 25%. So this is going to make IBM the world's largest hybrid cloud company again. And we will look at this and see if she either succeeded or failed. But I think her thinking of she's a big design type thinker. If this can succeed, I mean, I agree. A businesswoman from Chicago who made it kind of from the bottom. As a woman, you got to root for.
Right?
So again, it's a company. It pays a steady dividend. If you're at least invested in it, you are getting that dividend. So.
They had some trouble doing it in-house, and now it's the tack-on growth. Kev, real
3 words to describe her: calculated risk taker.
Yeah, all right. We're going to find out if the calculation was right. The last one here, Mark Benioff, Lucia. Now, this is really interesting, because the last big article I read on him was about how he just kind of just reaches in his wallet and just pays for companies. They've got a huge M&A track record. What do you think? I mean, is that...
Well, I think that's the way it looks on the surface. I think that he is very intuitive. And people who are intuitive, it doesn't come from their gut. That's a misnomer about how the brain works. What intuition is really is seeing different patterns so quickly that you can't explain them, and you get to the end before anybody else does. Because he's been known to say, I see this brilliant thing and I can't get anyone to understand it. And it's because it happens so fast in his brain. So I don't think he makes impulsive decisions. I think he makes intuitive decisions. And look at how many smart ones he's made. Of course he's made dumb ones. Amazon has made dumb ones.
Yep.
That's what a risk is. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Do more of your risks pay off than not? And with him they have.
That's a really good point. It's kind of like he's got a lot of small deals with the high probabilities of success. It's kind of a probability play, to Lucia's point. I mean, he says, I want, and then 9 out of 10 of them work, not bad.
If you look into his background, once he came through Apple and Oracle, he took this big sabbatical and learned how to meditate. So that's what he does. He's big into meditation. And then he came and started Salesforce with the idea of trust is more important than growth.
Yeah.
That's his mission statement.
Yep.
So that's the way he changed that company and made it higher quality.
All right, guys, we got to run. Really great stuff as always. Lucia Annunzio,
you.
awesome insight. President and CEO of the Center of High Performance.